What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Zasko.2 channel. As you already know, I'm the guy going for Radiant in-game and in real life. The last few weeks, I've been building a habit stack with the idea being that I just stop thinking so much about what I need to do in a day and instead just get more done because it's all automatic and it's all already set up for me. And this week, we're only continuing on that. The last couple of weeks have been mainly focused on the morning, getting our SAD lamp down every single morning to set our circadian rhythm, and then immediately after getting straight into our zone 2 cardio just to kickstart the day with a bit of a boost. Now it's time to focus on the actual training itself, the most important part of the habit stack. This week I really want to solidify a 9 till 11 study session. I want to take a 1 hour break, and then I want 12 o'clock to just be a set time where we smash out 3 competitive games. Ideally they finish at about 3 o'clock. I have another meal and another 1 hour break, and then I do some extra jobs and whatnot before 7 PM comes along and we do our scrims. Now, to optimize these sessions as much as humanly possible, I'm trying to meal time effectively as I can. The idea is that at 9 o'clock in the morning I'm going to have a shake, which I can digest for 3 hours before comp, and then after comp I have a shake, which I can digest for another 3 hours before I play my scrims. That way I'm fully energized and fueled, but I also don't have to worry about feeling groggy and bloated and just brain fogged. But without further ado, with a plan in place, let's get stuck into the week. Now, like I've mentioned already, I have not missed a single SAD lamp or cardio session up until now. This shows the power of the habit stack. Like, if we keep going with this, we're going to have the most optimal day every single day without failure, and I'm pretty excited. At some point throughout the morning, nothing too strict yet, I'm going to get my creatine and just some basic supplements down. I'm going to have zinc and vitamin B12. These supplements are all just mainly for cognition, but obviously the creatine helps with muscle growth as well, which will be very important in future. But anyways, 8:30 we finish setting our circadian rhythm. I get straight into cardio, and at 8:45 we are on to our smoothie. It's like clockwork and I love it. Now, this smoothie is heavy. It is a heavy bulking smoothie. There's protein, there's fat, there's carbs. This is a big meal. So with that, we're going to need some time to digest it, and that's where the Dope-By coaching session comes in. Frequent viewers of the channel would know that we start off every single week with this Dope-By coaching session just to find a good direction for us to grind in. Last week we looked at Lotus, and Dope-By gave us heaps of insight into increasing our impact on the map. I thought that I'd implemented all of it, but I still wasn't quite performing, so this week I bring it back to him once again. Dope-By was quick to analyze though that there was a bit of an over adaptation made. Last week I was just taking way too many solo fights and not really playing around the team. However, this time I was doing the opposite and I was playing way too passive and still not helping the team. The analogy that stuck with me deeply was the idea that we're leaving hanging pieces, like the chess analogy. We're just not in a position to trade our team, and if the team's pushing, we just need to push with them. I need to be like, yo guys, let's fight CT together, let's take some space. Now, on defense, we were able to identify a lack of intention. Last week, Dope-By mentioned that I'm not really fighting A main space much, and I'm leaving so much impact on the table by not fighting for space with my team. However, once again, I over adapted, and I ended up just playing A every single round, even when my team wasn't there to fight it. If we're not fighting for space, what's the point in me being A? I might as well be B main, fast rotating, going for the floods. Like, I wasn't even anchoring either. There was just no goal. What was my goal? Now, all of this comes down to one major concept: my ability to actually read the game state. Throughout the game, yeah, I habitually flick my eyes over to the minimap, but I'm just not yet utilizing the information that it provides. That means this week I need to be focusing on my minimap as much as humanly possible. Let's make it happen. If you're interested in how Dope-By comes to these conclusions, check out his YouTube channel where he posts very nice and edited versions of the coaching sessions that he does with me. Now, just as planned, Valorant study is done at 11 o'clock. We need a break. I take a quick shower, freshen up, and then I get straight outside into nature where I can just spend my 1 hour break chilling out and just processing as much information as possible. 12 o'clock comes, we're done resting, and I make sure that before I start playing comp, I take some cordyceps mushrooms, smash out my focus training to get my eyesight nice and sharp, do my physical warm-up just to get the heart rate and blood flow going, and then I do a mechanical warm-up just to get the aim nice and crisp. Now, of course, there's no time to waste. We have to get our minimap awareness up. So the first thing I do is queue straight into a solo queue comp game and make that the #1 priority. My goal is to really reinforce certain triggers that get me to check the minimap, and the first of which is just going to be when a teammate or enemy gets a kill. One single kill could completely change the game state, and I need to be aware of that if I'm going to be positioning myself optimally. Another thing that's going to dramatically improve alongside my minimap awareness is my team play. In this example here, I get a kill, and instead of swinging for more, I check the minimap, read the game state, and realize that I can just peek off my Teo and let him take first contact, setting up a really good team play. As expected, the increased awareness just about what's going on in the game was leading to way more frags than usual, and I was having a lot of fun playing comp. At 3 o'clock, our comp session comes to an end just as planned, and with that it's time for our second meal shake. This time while it digests, I just take another 1 hour break, get outside, do some cleaning, and hop back on the PC. I actually wasn't that sure what I should have been doing in this moment, so I ended up gravitating towards a study session and just worked on my obsidian, building a couple visualizers just about using my decay and stuff like that on execs. This was something that Dope I briefly mentioned. After a little bit of fluff, I once again just kicked into gear and I was like, nah, I've got something to work on, and that's minimap awareness. So I decided to try and isolate it as best as I can. I queue up some theta brainwave binaural beats because I just learn a whole lot faster when I'm just chilled and zenned out, and this definitely helps me get there. And I decide to just queue into some swift play where nothing matters and I can just once again isolate the idea of checking my minimap. Now in doing this, I just made the greatest discovery of my entire career. Listen closely. The game literally tells you every time someone is spotted on the minimap. How did I not know this was a thing? Like, I knew the voice lines were a thing, but I didn't think they were every single time and something that I could rely on and actually get value out of. I've been mentally blocking these voice lines out for so long. Up until now, I've just always guessed when I need to check the minimap because I didn't really think there was a definitive answer. Now what I'm doing is holding the angle confidently until I hear a voice line. Now that I've heard the voice line, I check the minimap and gauge what the new information is, and then once I've got that, I can make any adjustments if need be, or just go back to actively holding the angle. As I started to shift from consciously incompetent to consciously competent, you can see that I'm really starting to put this concept to work now. Up until this point in the round, you can see that I literally haven't taken my eyes off the crosshair, and I simply don't need to. However, the KO voice line comes in, and I immediately check the minimap. It shows someone towards CT and someone triple, and literally knowing that somebody is in both of these places, I take those fights with as much intent as possible. Things are getting more intense, but I'm still trying to stay as aware as possible. KO dies, and I immediately check the minimap. I see that there's 2 CT and 1 U-haul, and that's all I need to finish out the round and take as many clean, intentional fights as I can. I get this may seem like a super simple concept, but the thing is, I do not check my minimap like this in comp. I just get lost in the sauce and things get way too chaotic, and I just end up taking fights by gambling and just hoping that I'm looking in the right spot. If somehow I can get my comp awareness to be this good without thinking about it, then man, we are going to skyrocket in progression. Anyways, once I was done with that, I ended up losing another competitive game and then jumping into a custom game with the academy team as well as Lenny from the main team, and we just practiced doing 2v4 retakes. Getting through a good 30 rounds taught me that playing safe is not an option when you are down this heavily in numbers. You just lose every single time because they'll just trade down in numbers and you're just done. There's nothing you can do. I started to really embrace my role as the disruptor. We'd have Lenny playing post-plant, holding link control and playing smart, while I just go and make his job as easy as possible. Like, if I can kill 1 or 2 people and get it down to like a 1v2 molly post-plant for him, he'd win that every time. So it really showed me that we need some explosivity, and that's where I come in. Anyways, coming up soon was our team's scrim session. I get down a banana, and then while we wait, I just smash out some custom TDMs with the boys, getting our aim nice and crisp so we can perform. But unfortunately, we ended up wasting like an entire hour because someone ended up having PC problems, and it was just a bit of a drama. So it ended up being a pretty suboptimal training session. At least we got like 1 map in though. Now scrims went decent, but I realized throughout it that my micros are just really not where they once were. Like, I felt like I was full flicking so much more than usual instead of acquiring the target and taking my time. After playing some DM, I hopped onto Kovacs to just try and isolate the problem further, but I ended up running out of time and having to hop off. This is something I'll address soon, but yeah, there must be something getting in the way. Despite closing Kovacs at 10 o'clock, I was still on my PC way too late sorting out Premiere things, and yeah, that's something I just got to stop doing, and I just got to respect my sleep a little bit more, but at least I compensate a little bit by just reintroducing the mask and the earplugs. These bad boys resulted in a deep sleep, which I was super happy with. Waking up, I was feeling nice and energized, ended up getting stuck into my habit stack, smashing out the sad lamp, cardio, and of course the smoothie, which all are getting really automatic. Like, I don't really think in the morning, I just do. Once done, I move on to this week's addition into the habit stack, which is our 2-hour study session. The time was spent looking over the Prem VOD and just figuring out all the ins and outs and things that were doing well and wrong and whatnot. And when 11 o'clock comes, I call it and I end up getting stuck into some sensory deprivation. I just spend 20 minutes not being able to hear or see anything, and I just sit there with my thoughts. And yeah, you can imagine how excited I was to see the next task in front of me once I could actually take the mask off. That's kind of the idea behind it. We're optimizing our dopamine receptors. Once I was free, I got straight into making my creatine and I start warming up for comp. The first game I got was Fracture, and the sole purpose was just simply trading the team. Pretty much every single round I was just calling, let's fight A, let's fight B, let's take this space, let's take that space, and by the end of it I had a 34 kill match MVP win under our belt and I was feeling pretty good. Now unfortunately the next two games kind of reminded me why I just don't like duo queuing, to be honest. In both games we had suboptimal teammates that were kind of rage baiting and just tilted in general, and they weren't really playing as a team, and for me I just mute them and I don't really care, and it just doesn't stop me from learning what I want to learn. But in this case I feel somewhat responsible for my teammates' mental, and I feel somewhat responsible for just the RR that's on the line. I waste so much energy trying to salvage the game just to be a good friend, and in the end I get nothing out of it and end up spending like 2 hours having gotten nothing done.
Yo, Clove, are you fucking retarded?
Yeah?
Oh, okay.
Now, despite duo queuing and just wasting a whole bunch of time, that's still 3 games done, and that's our comp session done regardless. So it got to 3 PM and that's when we get our second meal down, something I'm still super consistent with and I'm kind of reaping the benefits of it. But whilst having my usual 1 hour break, I was starting to realize that I'm just doing way too much for the Prem team and that I really am just taken away from my own growth. At this point, I felt like the answer was getting some help, so I started to build some Google Forms to look for some coaches and more analysis people. Maybe they can take some workload off my plate. But regardless, solving this problem took me a few hours, and that's the problem in itself, is I'm just doing way too much. I need to be focusing on myself. Yeah, there's just like, I need to fix this. After another break, I come back in, play some Kovacs, and I get warming up for the Premier game, which consists of our focus training, getting a salad down, and just getting my mind as mindful as possible, trying to get nice and sharp basically. As a team, we played decent and we qualified for the playoffs, but it's only the Elite 5 playoffs, which I don't even know why we're in Elite 5 to be honest, but that's where we're at anyways. But this is where I made a really big realization stemming from the fact that my own personal performance wasn't good at all. I queued into some team deathmatch, this time not to train, but just to record and have a look at my performance and see if I can find anything, like what's going wrong. The main thing that goes through my mind is that just before the act reset, like I wasn't having any of these problems and I was dropping like 50 kills every single TDM, and I don't really know what's going on. Upon further investigation, alright, I slow mode down some clips, I started to like look deeper into it, and I found that I actually wasn't acquiring my targets at all. There was 0 target acquisition. Once again, tying back to the same problem I realized yesterday, like my micros, they're really bad at the moment. I'm just full flicking everything and I lack a lot of aiming discipline. So then I was like, okay, I'll just jump back into TDM and I'll focus this and I'll fix it, right? Easy. There's been many times where I'm like, oh, I'm not focusing hard enough, and then I just lock in my focus and the problem goes away. But this time I just could not, for the life of me at all, focus on the head, and it was actually a very strange feeling to be able to not actually acquire the target even if I try. Like it's always just a tiny bit blurry and not really locked in, and just a bit of a struggle to track at all times. Like that's so strange. And that's when it all clicked and I realized, okay, last act I did not have contact lenses and this time I do. I almost knew for certain that the contacts were the problem, so without hesitation I just swapped them back. And did it help? Well, it was too late and I forgot to record the footage, so we'll get back to that, alright? For now I just really need to get on top of my sleep. Like I can't keep going to bed with all these unprocessed thoughts going through my mind at a million miles an hour. They all kind of revolved around the Prem team, doing too much theory, doing too much management, chasing up things that need to be done that weren't done. And then I started to question if my study time was actually effective or not, and maybe I should focus on my mechs because my mechs are the problem. And then I was like, alright, cool, corrective measure. Let's replace the study session with the mech session. Problem solved, right? 11 o'clock, I can go to sleep? No, the mind is not finished yet. Well, why implement more mechs? The eyesight's the problem. We don't need contacts. The glasses were just working completely fine. There's literally no reason for us to change the glasses in the first place, and that's just a whole bunch of testing for no reason. Maybe we just stick to our glasses and we actually train our eyes like we know works. But then how can we prioritize training our eyes over training our body, and we're not doing a gym workout? We just need to get both of those in. But then how can we get those in if we don't have the time? Maybe we just need to focus on ourselves instead of all these other people, but we can't because we rely on these other people to do their jobs. But when they don't do their jobs, I have to do their jobs. So then maybe the problem is that I need to trust people more in order to solve their problems. But then what do I do when they don't know how to solve their problems? Do I teach them? Do I commit the time to teaching them? Or what if they don't care? Or what if they don't want to? Even if they do want to, it's like more time. Less time on my goals, more time teaching people. Isn't that the whole problem we've got in the first place? Time is going to continue ticking regardless, and there's bigger problems to solve. The YouTube channel needs to grow in order to support this stream. The second channel just needs something posted on it, and I just need to focus on the things that actually matter, but I can't think of what actually matters because my entire brain is a mess and I don't have enough time to process my thoughts.
I've done the thing where I just let my mind go way too fast right before I'm meant to be sleeping. Something I just need to get on top of. I need to figure that out. But I'm just problem solving that problem while trying to sleep.
And that is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much stuff that I literally can't even talk about on YouTube. I do walk away with corrective measures for the night. Number one is I'm going to observe a problem before I solve it, whether it's mine or someone else's. I'm going to judge whether it's worth the energy and brain power and just simply forget about it if it's not. Number two, scratch the whole idea about changing the mechanics. We're just going to work on our eyesight, our strength, our weight, and clearing our brain. When my mind normally gets to this point and I've been sitting in bed for over an hour to an hour and a half, I usually get to a point where I can't handle it anymore and then I suppress the thoughts with some kind of YouTube documentary, something like that, because it just suppresses the thoughts. But I want it to be better than that this time and I want it to stay productive. So I VOD review my own gameplay instead of the team's, and I do some aim training until I fall asleep. I only ended up missing out on a couple hours of sleep and I woke up at 8, of course feeling groggy and not like my normal self, but I still smash out the habit stack regardless. This time though, I actually do make some change, okay? I don't turn on my computer until 11 a.m. That's 3 hours after I wake up. I need to just sit outside and sit there bored until I work through every single thought in there. Second of all, the gym. I just need to be lifting things and getting stronger every single day, because with strength, I can handle these situations well. I need the confidence. I need the feeling of just like, I've got this, I've got this. I have no idea where the footage for the gym session went, but here's the stats. Next, eyesight, and I wanted to work on my peripheral vision, which is something I've been meaning to do for so long, but I've just never done it. I saw some athletes doing this, and basically it's just a straw, toothpicks, you draw a plus on the straw, and then you try and put the toothpicks in the straw while staring at the plus. This basically develops your ability to move your hands in accordance to your peripheral vision or something along those lines. Time was feeling extremely slow. I was craving the problem solving. I felt like I just had to check Discord and I had to check in on everyone in the Premier team, but all I can say is for the first time in a long time, 11 o'clock came very slowly. 11 o'clock hits and I spend about half an hour just booking in scrims and getting everything set up for the day. Next, I start preparing for comp and preparing for what I want to be a hyper effective progression day. The first thing that I noticed is that I could actually see the enemy's head, and I could see them clearly and I could acquire them and I could track them. Having gone 1 month without this ability as I swapped between contact lenses and experimented with it has probably disintegrated my ability to focus, so this is something I'm going to have to rebuild. The lack of sleep was definitely playing its part in my poor performance, but I just did not want to let that stop me. I was going to queue no matter what. If I can't aim, I'm just going to whip out a shotgun and kill everyone anyways. I'm here to learn and not win, and that's all that matters. Look at this. Here, I learned that you can't take the zipline in Clovolt. I wouldn't have known that had I have thought, I can't play today. Unfortunately, we lose this game, but guess what? It doesn't matter because next game, we also lose. But don't worry, because then the next game after that, we win, so it's okay. What I realized in these games is that yes, I've got my eyesight back and that I can focus on a target if I want to, but I have to reteach my subconscious brain to be able to do that automatically. As of right now, in the heat of the moment, I just don't track the head by default, not like I used to. That's why we continue the grind by getting straight into 15 minutes of eye tracking, alright? Once done, it's straight into 15 minutes of eye stretches, eye massages, eye exercises, training the muscles in my eyes responsible for focus. The last of my time until 3 PM goes towards watching a sliggy analysis of G2 versus SEN just to get some more game knowledge under my belt. Not the most optimal way as I've discussed before, but still something. Another smoothie down and I was already starting to forget what I was meant to be working on this week. I decided to just write it on the whiteboard as plain as simple as possible and just remind myself that nothing actually matters besides doing these things. Doing this helps me take a bit of a deep breath and remind myself, oh, hang on, I don't actually need to stress. I queue up some Swift Play again, and once again I just hyper focus on isolating the minimap problem, but then I make literally the most insane discovery of my life. I was thinking to myself like, geez, I've literally got no one on the team comming right now, and I find it so hard to hear the voiceovers that give me the information when someone appears on my minimap. I check my settings and the voiceover volume is on 40%, and I've just always had it like this. Once I tinkered with my settings and maxed out the voiceover, like I literally literally could never miss a voice comm ever again. But yeah, this newfound awareness was too much for Swift play, and I kind of felt bad. So I decided to queue up for comp, and I was really G'd up to do so. While playing, straight away I noticed the increased awareness. For example, this clip here, like I literally checked my minimap mid-sight flood. Backside. Not only that, but I clearly registered that someone was backside. We ended up comfortably winning this game, and then I queued into another and comfortably won that as well. From there, I just hop into a custom TDM and once again warm up for some scrim practice where we ended up playing 2 matches, but unfortunately we ended up needing 2 subs this session. The result was a couple hours worth of scrims that didn't really feel like they were worth the time. I wrap up my session by once again just focusing on my focus and trying to implement that into my Kovacs training, especially the reflex ones. At 10 o'clock, I wrap up the night just to wind down and just simply get a good night's sleep. As for the weekend, I do keep up the habit stack and I try to keep going with the gym. I smash out my bicep curls, forearm exercises, I do my eye training, my eye stretches, everything, and all of that's going really well. But I will say, the craziest thing is that I disbanded the Premier team because it's just doing more harm than good, you know what I mean? Bada bing, bada boom. It's got to be a simple decision. Let's just relax and just focus on the grind and let's earn our way into a good team. You know what I mean? If we just focus on individual improvement, we can individually improve. And with that, we can become a good player, and becoming a good player allows us access to pre-built. I don't have to build nothing. I don't have to build all the systems and I don't know, come up with everything. These pre-built environments where I can just be around good players and grow as a team and compete and become the best competitor. You know what I mean? That's all we want to do. That's all for the week. Next week should be a good one because I'm going to take back like the 4 hours a day that I was giving the Prem team and just give it back to the YouTube channel and the grind and making sure that I get some things underway. But yeah, huge. Peace out, everybody.